So meditation was my total shore up. I'm like, this is my secret weapon that I'm freaking out right now. I don't know what to do. Everyone's looking at me. I'm a newbie at this. I'm a theater kid on a film and television set. Wait, let me take a moment to remember who I am, what I do. Okay, now I can deliver.
Welcome to Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? I'm Emily Fletcher, and I believe that bliss is your birthright. That's why I'm calling on my world-class network to uncover the most potent, spine-tingling, even taboo healing modalities, all so you can reclaim your bliss. Let's do this. Hi, sweet friends, and welcome back to Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? Today, I have the deep pleasure of having one of my best friends, one of the longest Ziva meditators in the land on the show. And that might not be his biggest claim to fame because he's been over 275 episodes of NCIS Los Angeles. That is 12 seasons, which is such a rare honor and accolade for an actor. You know, so many actors are out of work and looking for jobs, and Barrett has done off-Broadway. He has done Broadway. He has done not just one TV show, but 12 seasons of this TV show. And in between, he was a guest star on Will and Grace, on Entourage, and when he was in between seasons, he would go and star in productions of Buyer and Seller, which I saw him in. It was a one-man show, which he absolutely captivated and riveted audiences. He was in Avenue Q, and possibly his biggest claim to fame was opening up the Easter Bonnet performance in Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, where he and I met, and I was his backup dancer, and I got to sing the illustrious song, Barrett Foa, Barrett Foa, where he was surrounded by 12 chorus girls singing in 12-part harmony, his name, Barrett Foa. So Barrett Foa, I love you so much.
I love it. Please keep chanting it to this day.
Barrett
Sometimes
Foa.
when I'm down, I just hear you with 11 other beauties just in my ear harmonizing, being just being my hype women. Thank you for that.
We all need that.
We all need that.
If
you're in my back pocket always.
Yes.
That was 15 years ago.
Come on.
Something like that.
How are we still such good dancers?
And how do we look so good?
We're getting hotter, I think.
Duh.
Well, so legitimately,
yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm biased and every hammer finds a nail, but there has been more than one scientific study done on the fact that meditation can reverse your body age by somewhere between 8 and 15 years. So if we've been meditating now for
incredible.
It's incredible.
It's a literal fountain of youth. What there's no pill you can take that's incredible. Wow.
Yeah. And so how long have you been meditating now?
I think it's over a decade.
Come on.
I think you taught me.
Which is something I'm so outrageously proud of.
And it's not like a thing you taught me and then hey, remember when you taught me that thing? It's like a thing you taught me and then it's a thing I do twice a day, every day for the rest of my life.
For a decade you've been doing that.
For a decade.
And I want to celebrate you for that because I've taught
in a non-negotiable way.
Many tens of thousands of people to meditate, and not all of them stick with the practice.
Sure.
But you did and have, and one of the things I want to talk about, among others, is how do you feel like meditation has improved your performance? I know you're many more things than just a performer, but I don't just mean as an actor. I mean, how's it improved your performance in relationship, as a human, as a son, as a brother, as an uncle? And so that's really the theme for me that I'd love to explore is why isn't everyone meditating for better performance? And even if you don't consider yourself a performer, it's well, we all have jobs to do, right? And stress is making us stupid, sick, and slow. And so if this thing can make you less stupid, less sick, less slow, make you better at life, why are people not doing that?
You're performing better in your life.
Yeah.
Not just when, they say action.
But let's start there. Do you feel like you noticed a difference of who you were, your relationship with anxiety, and then your actual performance? I saw your scripts sometimes. You would get them days before, and you'd have pages and pages of very technical dialogue to memorize. And
chunks. We would call them chunky butts.
Chunky butts? Where you're just oh, we've got this thing that I've never heard of before, and
just run a rundown of facts about someone, and then it was just information. I was the exposition guy.
You were the AI of NCIS LA.
Yeah, oh gosh, pre-AI, I was AI. No, I was the non-artificial intelligence. I was the intelligence. I was the organic intelligence. No, old school. Yeah, and I had the glasses. I was the whiz. So, but Barrett had to shove all that in his brain and put it out very naturally. And the showrunners on the show kept being like, you do this so well, so we're just going to give you more.
Oh, God.
And I'm like,
thanks.
Okay. Where do I get a scene where I just can talk to someone instead of just spouting information?
Or like feel feelings.
And eventually they did start giving me that as well. But at first my job really was to be this guy, and that was a tough challenge. But thankfully, I had meditation on my side. No, at first it really was like very daunting. I was a Broadway theater actor. I thought I'd do that for the rest of my life. And then here I am suddenly on a television show that's going to be lasting for a long time.
And did you know that from the beginning?
We sort of did.
Were you in it from the beginning?
I was in it from the first episode, from like the backdoor pilot episodes.
Whoa.
And I was in it from episode 1. And at episode 7, we got sold into syndication. Usually things get sold as shows get sold into syndication at episode 100. So we got sold into syndication at episode 7. So we knew that we were guaranteed to be a hit and run for seasons and seasons.
And what does syndication mean?
Syndication just means that it'll be repeated on USA, on cable. And
that's like where the money is, right?
That's where the money is.
Great.
So we just were like, oh, just don't screw up. And
everybody
keep your
cool.
head down, be cool. And like keep doing what you're doing, and we're gonna ride this thing, all of us together. But then there's also like some pressure in that. Being someone who went from theater gig to theater gig to theater gig, as you used to do, mm-hmm. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be in one place for a very long time.
Yeah. Did that make you have like commitment issues? Like
I had some commitment issues. I had some squirms.
I'm never sleeping with anyone else ever again.
Exactly. Yes. Like monogamy with this show.
Yeah.
And it really is. And they pay you. I mean, they pay you to be monogamous. Like you can't do anything else. You have to be here whenever we tell you to. If you're in New York, you have to turn around and come back. Like there's no negotiating. So that was sort of getting stressful to me, and I was getting the squirms. And thankfully I had meditation. I mean, I would have really early calls. Like I would have to be on set at 6 a.m.
Which means you wake up at what time?
Normally wake up at, 5, let's say, to shower. But once I started meditating, I woke up even a little earlier than that.
Like at 4:40?
Which sounds nuts.
That sounds nuts.
Because you're like, I need that. But really, you don't need 20 minutes more of sleep. That's not going to do you much good. But sitting in a chair for 20 minutes is going to change your entire day.
Wait, this is why I love you so much. I remember I called you the meditation police earlier, and you were like, I'm not the meditation police, but you're like the meditation like superhero. You're like everyone, that 20 minutes of sleep is not going to help you, but 20 minutes of meditation will change your whole day. Please say more, say why.
I mean, because I have the receipts. Like I did. I
got the proof.
I got the proof. I saw my performance when I just rolled out of bed into set. And
like you could literally watch the tape.
Watch the tape and be like, or like I wasn't so grounded when I did that. And then I would meditate the next day and I'd watch that scene back and I'd be like, oh. Or I was like, oh, that was so much easier. That just felt, I was just more grounded in myself.
Your experience of it felt easier.
So therefore, then that comes across to the audience.
And did your co-stars notice a difference?
No, because it was like my little secret.
Oh.
Yeah.
When did you out yourself as a meditator?
Oh, I mean, I tell everyone every chance I can get. I'm like
but how long did it take? Like, how long was it your secret? Well, so for people listening, it's hard to remember, and certainly anyone under 40 doesn't remember when meditation was weird. But like 10, 12 years ago, it was weird. Like, Jason, my ex-husband, wouldn't tell people I was a meditation teacher when we would go to dinner parties because it was like too woo when I started. And then he stopped telling people because it was like, then he knew he would never see me again. And so I think that legitimately 10 years ago, there might have been some like, if I'm meditating on set, it's going to look weird. Or was that not it?
I think people were like supportive of anything you would do. Also, I would just lock myself in my trailer and do my thing.
So
I don't know
sexy.
what I'm doing in there.
Trailer.
Oh yeah.
Also, I used to teach acting, and it was before I started teaching meditation. And I would watch these folks come in, and I taught a very specific style. It was Anthony Mindel's actor workshop, and it was very much surrendering and like jumping out of the plane. And he wouldn't let you memorize your lines, actually, because he really wanted people to be in the right brain. Like he would like get the line and say it. Anyway, we can have another episode of that another time. I think he will come on the show. But I would watch actors come in, do their scene. Then they would come and learn to meditate. Once I graduated as a teacher, they would come and take Ziva, and then they would come back literally 1 week later.
Yeah.
And they would go from unwatchable to like standing ovations in the class.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, this is a thing. Like I'm getting goosebumps saying that because like it's not like their technique got better. It's like they became a better actor. But the nervousness, the paralysis, the self-judgment, the like, am I doing this right? Like all of that melted away once they connected to source. And it's like they became different performers, different actors. And it was so inspiring.
Because you know you have that capability within you to, you know, release your own bliss chemicals or whatever. And once like your body starts understanding and remembering that information, it's like, oh, I have this access at all times. Yeah. So I don't have to freak out. I don't have to freak out. It's like I can self-regulate. I had a freak out moment on the set of Will and Grace when I was ready to go on. Did I ever tell you that?
I'm having a vague memory of it.
Like backstage, like, you know, like about to enter like a fake door. And there was a live studio audience. Live studio audience. That's 3 the thing. I'm not used to that. Like on set, on our set on NCSLA, there was no studio audience. So suddenly there's people like waiting and wanting you to be good, which is great because I'm a theater actor, so I'm used to that. But with theater acting, you have like a ton of rehearsal. With this, you sort of like have done it a few times, maybe like the day. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like one rehearsal and then you're on.
Yeah. So it's like I just remember starting to float away.
Like you were leaving your body.
I was leaving my body, and like the anticipation. I didn't know when they were just going to call action. They were just like, just stand here and just wait for the word.
Oh God.
And it was like taking, you know, like a long time. And it was just, I was like going over my lines. I was like, do I know this? And then I started being like, just floating outside myself. And I used a Ziva technique of like, come to your senses. I was like, Barrett, get back in your body. Because you're floating away and they're going to yell action and you're not even going to be, you're going to be like a ghost watching yourself. It's going to be so weird. So I was like, smell what you're smelling, taste what you're tasting, like just get back into me. It was delicious. And then they were like, action. And I was like, I'm ready. It was great.
And how'd it go?
Oh my God, it went so well.
Great. What episode is it? Can we watch it?
Yeah, it's called something.
We'll look it up. We'll put it in the show notes. Yeah. We'll link to it in the show notes.
But I got to kiss Will McCormick. Eric McCormick.
Come on, who played Will?
Who played Will.
How was it?
It was great. He really leaned into it. I think he wanted it.
He wanted to not be monogamous. He wanted a little spice.
It was sort of hot. He's a good kisser.
Great. Yeah. Any other kissing scenes you've done that have found particularly exciting to share?
Oh gosh. I mean, I got to say Renee Felice Smith is a great kisser.
Who's that?
She was my co-star on NCSLA.
Oh. Wait, did you guys have a romance on the show?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. She was my girlfriend for basically 11 years on that show. Wow. Yeah. What else? Who else have I kissed? Oh God.
This is an annoying question.
You're a good kisser.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm blushing. Wait, Adam's
a good kisser. Your boyfriend's a good kisser.
You guys.
Really good. I approve.
Great.
Yeah, after I kissed him, I was like,
you get it.
Thumbs up, Emily.
Now you know I call him my cosmic lover.
Yes. I got like just a soupçon of that cosmosity.
What does soupçon mean?
Soupçon?
It's like a little petit papa.
Yes. A little taste.
Tendu. Oh my gosh. Hi, I love you so much.
I love you.
Okay, so one of the things that I feel excited to explore is this idea, like, you know, we could meditate and take acting classes and do therapy and do tapping and internal family systems and then do a juice cleanse and then do face yoga. And like, there's like infinite amount of things that we could do to better ourselves and to better our performance. And so when is it enough? Like, when is it like, okay, I've done the meditation, I've worked out, I've done my lines, I've practiced, I know what I'm doing, and now I'm gonna like go and enjoy being a performer. And I think that same concept translates into life and acting. But I would just love to know for you, like, what's that line between preparation and surrender?
Yes.
We meditate to get good at life, not to get good at meditation. And I think let's start in the performance realm. Like, when do you know that you're ready, if you're ever ready?
Yeah.
And how do you let go of the preparation and then let yourself fully be present in the performance?
Okay. I have 2 stories about this. First, one of my acting teachers, Bob Krakauer.
Oh, love Bob.
So good. He is an on-camera acting person, and he tells you that unlike in theater, you have a camera there, and the camera is a lie detector.
Ooh. Oh, God.
It knows.
Oh, God.
Theater, you can get away with more because it's more theatrical and there's more space between you and the audience.
But still, a lie detector is just a lie detector is further away.
A lie detector is further away.
Like in theater, it's like the audience can feel the energy, but the lie detector is not like in your eyeballs.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So as soon as you package up your greatest hits from your bathroom mirror at home,
you're practicing it in the mirror.
You're practicing in the mirror, and you're like, okay, on this line I'm going to do this, and then on that line I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this pose, and like, so okay, it's going to, oh my God, it looks so good in the mirror right now.
So you're like managing it and directing it, and sculpting your own face.
Exactly. Then if you, the next day, and they yell action and you do all those things, that camera's going to be like, lying.
I don't trust that person.
Because you're not being spontaneous in any way. And that the camera, it needs to be spontaneous for camera. So there's a amount of preparation that you need to do. There's the memorizing of the lines and what's my intention and where's my maybe some background work. Where is my character born? What are his 5 favorite songs? What kind of foods does he like to eat?
What sign is he? I'm like,
right. But when they yell action, you can't play, I'm a Virgo, or I'm an Aquarius, or my favorite food is spaghetti, not prime rib. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't play that in the lines that are going on. You have to release it and let it go. I think meditation sort of helps you to do that. So you're like, it's a preparation, but it's a priming so that you can trust yourself more, trust your gut more, get quiet within yourself so that you can be spontaneous. Yeah. If you need to go from work to your from work to your home, and you know the route is here to here, but there's traffic on the way, there's a blockage here. So then, a roadblock. So then you're like, oh, I still know the way home. I still know how to get from A to B. I just can take some side streets. And those side streets are sort of where that spontaneity lives. Because I'm like prepped sort of in my meditation. Like, I know who I am, and I know where I need to start and where I need to end. And I can trust that, and I can go a different route as long as I end up where I need to go. I hope that wasn't too woo.
No, that was amazing. And like, this is, I think, why I loved teaching acting and why it felt so much like a spiritual practice to me. Like, I think acting is very much a spiritual practice because, like, God is the great actor who's animating and playing all of us. And so as an actor, as you get to animate and play these different characters, it's like you get to step into a piece of divinity. You get to try on what it feels like to be God animating billions of different people. And so, I mean, that's like the sort of esoteric piece of it, of why I think that acting and meditation are so similar and complementary in that way, because it's this simultaneity of like individuality wave, totality ocean, right? Like individuality left brain, totality right brain. And in the meditation, you're dancing between those hemispheres, dancing between those states of consciousness. And in acting, you're like, well, here I am, Barrett Foa, but now I'm inhabiting Eric Beale. And so that's its own spiritual practice. But then what I heard you say is that as long as I've done my preparation and I know where Eric is starting and where he needs to go, then the meditation allows you to trust yourself and trust nature to improvise the way to that point B.
Exactly. That was gorgeous. You really did it. I think it's that spontaneity that is really sort of where the magic happens. They're like, I don't know. Yeah. I know where I'm starting. I know where I'm going, but what's going to happen in the middle? I don't know. Yeah. Do you? Let's find out. Because I've done my individual work. I've done my wave work. I've done my what's my line. I know what my lines are.
Yeah.
So I've done that. I've done, where he's from and what his favorite foods are. Now I can trust that.
Sweet friend, if you are loving this conversation and would like to dive deeper into these powerful modalities, I want to invite you to join me at zivameditation.com/whythis. Now there you're going to find free bonus content that we simply could not fit inside of the episodes. I'm talking mini masterclasses with our amazing guests like Aubrey Marcus, Layla Martin, Blue, Vailana, and myself. So come experience the tools that we reveal in the podcast for yourself. Simply head to zivameditation.com/whythis.
I'm going to transition this a little bit. I've recently come out of a relationship, an almost 3-year relationship, this week. And some of what we sort of were getting stuck on was that work. Is he from Seattle or is he from the suburbs of Seattle? Or, is he a Taurus or is he a Virgo? And you're just like, I'm stuck in the work, but when they yell action, I just want to play.
Yeah.
I just want to live. I want to be. I want to live life and like be in the being.
Yeah, and have fun and be in the moment and surrender.
And just see, because we've done the work, so we've done the work. We know, we've discussed it.
We have this foundation.
We have the foundation, so we can trust that. So now we can go out into the world and deliver it. It sort of reminds me of the saffron robe thing. Is that a metaphor we want to bring in here?
Yeah.
Do you want to I feel like you just, every time you tell the story, it just gives me chills.
Yeah, let's go saffron robe. So there's this beautiful analogy or metaphor inside of the Vedic teachings, which is that, again, we meditate to get good at life, not to get good at meditation. And the imagery is that in India, there are, sadhus that wear these beautiful saffron-colored robes. And there are people whose job is to dye those robes saffron. So they'll take a piece of white cloth and dunk it into a vat of saffron-colored dye and let it get totally saturated. And then they pull it out and they let it dry in the sun. And it's one shade closer to saffron, but it's still very white. So they put it back in the dye, let it saturate fully, pull it out into the sun, one shade closer to saffron. Still pretty white. Dip in the dye, dry in the sun, dip in the dye, dry in the sun. After enough cycles of dyeing and drying, there comes a day that fabric is totally saffron and there's no amount of sun or wear or time that will keep it from its color fastness. And that is really what meditation does for our nervous systems, right? We go into the practice and we saturate our nervous systems with bliss and dopamine and fulfillment. And then we come out into the demands of our life and we let the sun dry our nervous systems out. And then we start to feel a little crunchy and a little dry and a little tired and a little like, and then we get back into the dye and we let the meditation saturate us with bliss and fulfillment and adaptation energy. And then we pull our nervous systems out into the play and into the life and into the suck and into the agony and into the stress. And each time we're substantiating that bliss into our nervous systems. And after enough cycles of meditation and activity, dyeing and drying, there comes a day that our nervous systems are color fast with bliss. And no amount of breakup or will and grace sets or, pending climate change, chunky butts of text is going to keep us from that deep knowingness that I am the ocean. I am not just the wave. I am pure essence. I am not just my ego. I am God pretending to be human. And when we start to trust that in our bodies and in ourselves, then no amount of this person looked at me differently on set, or I forgot my line, or my partner doesn't want to go to the same restaurant as me is going to keep you from that everythingness, that connection to your source.
I sort of liken that, like the
saturation,
the saturation to some of that work that we do, and then it's like, great, we've done the work. Now we get to be in the sun. Now we get to live life.
Be in the sun.
And we were just, I was missing some of that. And also I see that I can do that on set, right? I can in the morning, wake up a little bit earlier and meditate so that I can really sort of like deliver myself to the world. I can deliver myself to myself, really is what it is.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but like before I started meditating, when I would be on stage, I remember I was also having like panic attacks backstage at Chorus Line, and I felt like I was very much, because I was getting increasingly more stressed. And I don't think people really understand like the amount of fight or flight that actors are in, because it's that fear of being rejected by your group, by your tribe, is actually like more visceral than the fear of death. But it means the same thing. Like body's going through the same reaction, because back in the day we got exercised from the tribe, we would die alone. So if people don't like your audition, because we all sort of think we're immortal to a certain degree, but like not being accepted by the tribe is actually a more visceral and realistic fear of death. So like that rejection and that auditioning and that like putting yourself out there again and again is legitimate fight or flight in the nervous system.
Yeah.
I don't think people really like clock the neurochemistry of that.
Yeah. I never really was like that. That's big impact.
It's a big impact. And
like that'll take its toll. Like that'll
100%
scar you.
And I think because I was always understudying, I was like always in that fight or flight, and it started to build up. But I remember like, and then because I got increasingly stressed, I was increasingly needy. Right? And I was like going in front of the audience and like, please like me, please approve of me, please love me.
And that's such an attractive look.
Everybody wants to date that. Everyone wants to hire that.
Oh,
and then the audience is like mad at you. They're like,
yeah.
why am I making you feel comfortable? I'm paying you to make me feel good. And so it's like the meditation for me turned me from being a bag of need looking to be fulfilled into fulfillment looking for need. Like you said, I am now delivering this saturation of bliss to the sunshine, to myself, to the work.
If you want to just, if you want to tap into this real quick, just watch one episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. Because
say more.
there are just these queens that are so embodied and know who the fuck they are and what they're doing there and how they're going to deliver and how they're going to be present. And then there's always one or two queens that are like me, please. I haven't been here in a while. I'm coming back for All Stars, and I'm just in my head. And I'm like, you're leaving in 3 seconds. I can tell, RuPaul can tell, the other contestants can tell, you're just like, it's just not sexy. You're not embodied. You haven't done like the work, or you're too nervous, or you're needy.
Yeah. Like, please like me. I'm needy and I need you to fulfill my need of insecurity.
And it shows.
And what do you think is the difference between like those people and the queens that are like fully in their body and like, I am here, deal with it?
It's that X factor. I don't know if they're meditating or they don't give, really what it is they don't give a fuck. They're not looking for outside approval because they have it within them. And that's, I think really that is what meditation does. It like reminds you that you have your own approval. You have your own back.
Yeah.
You don't need to be getting it out there.
Yeah.
But I've definitely been in modes where I'm single and I'm like at the club and I'm like, hi, this is where I'm gonna be hooking up with someone tonight, and maybe it's you. Is it you? And I'm just like, I feel unsexy, and the way I'm being perceived is like people know, people are onto you just by your energy. I want to tell you a story that came up recently. I took a 3-day acting workshop with an incredible actress and teacher named Alexandra Billings. Look her up. And she, basically we were running around a big black box space and doing like viewpoints work. And we're like walking in circles and forming clumps and just running around the space. And it was very like, it felt like freshman acting class again, but I was living my life.
Having fun?
Having so much fun. I was like, I love like rolling around on the floor in black clothing with other people. So
what do you love about it? Why do you love that?
Well, let me tell you why I loved it, especially, this is just in December. One of the exercises we were doing was like, it was like the 3rd day. So we were really all like really connected with each other and vibing. And she was like, okay, everyone form, like when I say go, everyone just form a circle. Okay, everyone's walking around like the space, and then like when I say go, form a circle. And there's no like, okay, Emily, you're gonna be on the left of the circle and I'm gonna be on the right. It's just, you just sort of naturally like form it, right? And then she says go, and then you go back to being crazy molecules in a space. And then you go, she says go, and you form a line. And then you form a clump. And then a circle, and then a line, and then a clump. And it just naturally goes. Then she's like, maybe split off into 2 groups that are doing that. And then just do it at your own pace. And maybe you don't even know if it's circle, line, clump. Maybe it's clump, clump, circle, line. So there's all these people who are not communicating with each other that are suddenly feeling each other and like forming a line, even though no one said go, no one said line. It's just like, I think it's just going to be a line. We just know. And we're all so tuned into each other and tuned into the space and tuned into ourselves. Then she starts introducing like architecture. She's like, she'll just like pass someone like a prop, like a broom or a amethyst. And then suddenly that becomes part of the line or the shape or the circle or the clump. And we're not doing clumps and lines and circles anymore. We're just doing, I don't know. It's spontaneous, right? It's like sort of transmuting naturally. Old Barrett, like 19-year-old Barrett, the ghost of him was in that room because old 19-year-old Barrett was taking that broom and like showing the teacher that I was going to be the best one and I was going to be like the leader of this clump and I was going to like dictate something.
Force or push
or show them that I'm a risk taker, or just that desperate energy we were talking about, that you're at the club, that you're like, watch me. And present day Barrett was like, I don't care. Because that all that pushing and pulling and gripping gets in the way of that spontaneity. And I've come to realize through meditation that I don't need to grip as much, or maybe at all. And when you start letting go and just listening to the space and to yourself and to the other people, you're actually going to organically form these shapes, and no one has to drive it so hard. And I was just driving so hard. I think we all were, pre-meditation or just in our younger selves, where you're like, I mean, control, right? We're also out of control, and this crazy spinning blue marble is a scary place. So, if I can control something, it was so lovely to see that ghost of that 19-year-old kid being like, you don't need to do that, Barrett. You can just let go. And there I was having the time of my life. She gave me like the architecture, and I was like, this is my chance to. I was like, I don't actually want this.
You try something.
I was like, this doesn't feel right to me right now. And instead of being like, I'm the leader with the amethyst, I'm like, I think maybe you're the leader now. Oh. And it feels good to like to give way, to surrender.
Let it flow.
To just flow a little bit. I hope that was interesting.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And I think it's exactly what we're saying of like, if all we have is our wave, if all we have is our ego and our identity, and all you have is Barrett Foa, then you have to fight and you have to push and you have to work and control and muscle. But if you really, truly remember, not just in your mind, but in your cells, if you remember that you're actually the ocean, there's a much bigger current going on, and the more you can listen and find that oceanness inside of the other waves, that you can just dance together, and it's so much less effort and so much more fun and so much more magic happens as a result of the surrender and the flow. And it's like, this is the game that we're all playing. It doesn't matter if you're an actor. It doesn't matter if you go to improv classes.
These are just examples.
Yeah, it's just acting puts a magnifying glass on the thing that we're all doing as humans anyway, which is like, where am I right now? Where do I want to go? How am I going to get there? And then the thing that we're all sort of waking up to is we have to just feel our fucking feelings, right? And also what you just demonstrated of like, one, I think 18-year-old Barrett would be so proud of Barrett today. And two, I think that we're going through a paradigm shift on the planet. And that old paradigm of work, muscle, control, force, prove, show just doesn't work anymore. Because nature's like, honey, lean back.
Yeah.
Take a
I got
seat.
you.
Yeah, I got you. When are you going to trust me? Like, at what point are you going to trust me?
But it's so scary. I mean,
What's scary?
Well, one of the first exercises you do in acting class is trust falls, right?
Where you just like fall back.
Or you fall back. And
I think I missed that day in acting class.
What? I think it's all we did for like 9 semesters. But yeah, it's like you know, your friends have you, your colleagues have you. And knowing that, I think, is important up front. I think what's weird is that I think in theater, and I think in theater classes, they drive that home. But no one's doing that at like your tech job, and no one's doing that on a film set, or at least on NCSLA. It was like, and action, go. You don't know what you're doing? There's no one like holding your hand being like, let me tell you how to be on camera.
Like there's no time for play or community building or trusting each other. It's just like you show up, each individual better perform or you're done.
Because it's not really about the trust. It's about, we just need to get it once, Emily. So can you just do it once well? I don't care how you get there. I don't care what seeds you've planted. I don't care what soil you've tended. I don't care how much water you've put in that seeds. I don't need to see it grow. All I need to do is take this flower that I've bought and I'm going to put it in the soil. I'm going to stick it in there and I'm going to take a picture of it and then it's done. I don't care about this anymore. So no one cares about the process on film. So you have to care about your process and you have to shore it up.
What's that mean? What's shore
You
that
have
mean?
to
make it tight.
You got to make it tight. So meditation was my total shore up. I'm like, this is my secret weapon that I'm freaking out right now. I don't know what to do. Everyone's looking at me. I'm a newbie at this. I'm a theater kid on a film and television set. Wait, let me take a moment to remember who I am, what I do. Okay, now I can deliver.
And I think that anyone can relate to that of like, I'm about to go on a date.
Yes.
And this person I'm going on a date with doesn't care how nervous I am or how much I need them to like me. And like, if you're about to give a presentation to your board, it's like, they don't care how many times you rehearsed it last night on your laptop. It's like how you do when it's go time, when you're raising money for your company.
Right.
And so I think that this is a good, no matter what your profession is, it's like everyone at the end of the day cares about results to some degree. And so it's like, you better care about your process. But I think this is a beautiful, like bringing it back to what we were talking about earlier, that it's like if all you're ever doing is the process. And you never actually get to enjoy the result, then that's not it either. The analogy I used to use when I was teaching acting would be like, look, only a ding-dong would jump out of a plane without packing a parachute. Like you better fucking pack your parachute.
Yeah.
But if all you ever do is pack and fold and iron and zip up your parachute and you never actually jump out of the plane and we don't get to see how beautiful the parachute is, again, we don't care. So it truly is that simultaneity. And I feel like that's in work, it's in acting, and it's certainly in relationships, right? Where it's like, yes, you've got to do the work. You have to have the conversations. You have to do the therapy. You have to know each other's woundings and how you navigate when the other person gets triggered. But if that's all you ever do, and you never like go to the movies or like have sex or go to parties, then it's like...
Or lay on a couch.
Or just relax.
Yeah. When there's talking and then more talking and then talking about the talking. And,
we're in a meeting about our meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, we just schedule a meeting, and scheduling a meeting for our meeting using a Calendly link it gets a little like, oh, we're just living in the work. When you were talking about the parachute thing, I'm like, yeah, the parachute's beautiful. Also, you forgot to mention me jumping out of a plane and witnessing that view and witnessing that rush. I mean, that is so... Have you ever skydiving?
I think that's it, skydiving. Have you?
Yes.
And?
I got in that plane and I was like, okay, once we're, 50 feet off the ground, and this plane goes down, or I'm gonna die. So it's like, okay, so once we're 50 feet up, it's either death or life. So so me stressing out about that is not helpful.
Like you like the baby's born, like like it's or
right, here we go. Like there's no
turning back.
There's no turning back. So it's like I could enjoy this this climb to 13,500 feet, or I can freak out the whole time about what's about to happen. And I'm strapped to someone's strapped to my back. He's done this 1,000 times. And I was like, I'm not going to die today. I just decided, I knew it. He's not going to die today. It's just not going to happen. So, and I think I did tap into some meditative thing of like, oh, right, I can freak out right now, or I can be like, let me just regulate and look out the window. And my God, that view is gorgeous. And here we go. Yeah. And then I enjoyed it. Meanwhile, some person next to me was freaking out. And I'm like, you're not enjoying what's happening. And there's nothing you can do to control it. You're just freaking out it's going to be bad. It's all going to be bad. And I just had the best time. And I was like, we landed it and I was like, let's do that again. But I haven't yet. Do you want to do it? Want to go?
Yeah, I do.
Have you ever been asked?
No. I've never been invited. Did you just invite me to go skydiving with you? Yes.
It is thrilling.
I say yes, although I just applied for life insurance and I got like the top 1% of all the people of like my health and whatever. I was like, literally, I have like the best in life insurance rate of all time, which I'm very proud of, by the way.
You should be,
as
brag.
Like a 44-year-old woman, as a mother who travels all of the effing time.
Yeah.
I'm like top 1 percentile of health. I was like, that needs to be our new marker.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the questions is like, do you jump out of airplanes that aren't on fire? So I might we'll just release this episode after I get my life insurance policy. But yeah, I would love to. And another episode, Aggie. Do you know Aggie? She skydives like
Bond?
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like she like goes on her own, no more tandem. She does like many jumps a day. Like she's legit. And it seems like her dancing with her fear, that regularly has really catapulted her in her business, in like who she's dancing with, and as far as like she's writing a book, she's starting a course, she's like, collaborating with Tony Robbins and Jim Quick when she was like a travel IG, she was sort of dismissible to some people,
right,
even just a few years ago. And somehow by her harnessing that fear of skydiving, it's like she's like willing to dance with titans now because she's faced that fear so many times.
Wow.
It's really inspiring. And I feel like if I have a fatal flaw, it's that I surrender to my fear. Like I let the fear win. Like I like the Handel group would call it chicken. We're all either chickens or brats or weather reporters. And sometimes I'll let my chicken like win. And I feel like if I could do that, it would be a nice thing to anchor. Like, well, I did that.
I've seen your chicken win, but I've also seen your chicken. You go, no chicken.
Can you say when or how?
Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. I mean, I'm just looking in your face and I'm like, oh, I know Emily's chicken. Like, I've just known you for so long. And I've seen, it's not, you're such a brave person, but I've seen that in you.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying that because you have recognized that in you. I would never be like, she's a chicken.
I'm always available for honest feedback.
No, I mean, yeah, same. And then I've also seen you be like chicken at first, chicken instinct, and then be like, unuseful. Nope. Go back to the coop.
Go back to the coop, chicken.
Yeah. Because I'm going to plow forward into this thing.
Yeah.
I've seen that so many times with you. And I've seen that little flicker in your eyes. It's very cool.
Thanks, Barrett.
Yeah.
Because that bravery, I feel like, is hard earned. And honestly, the breakup, I know you're like fresh off of a breakup, but like going through the breakup is definitely like the bravest thing I've ever done. It's like the last person in the world that you want to hurt. The last thing you want to do is like destroy the thing you've been building and putting so much work into for so long.
Yes.
And yet it's like, if in your soul it is for your highest good, then it has to be for everyone's highest good. And like taking that brave step, it feels like the Glennon Doyle quote of "the braver I am, the luckier I become." And then it's like taking one brave step, and then this, floodgate of luck starts flowing over you. And it was like, okay, thank you, nature. Because it's scary to transition.
There's no right or wrong choice. It's just the choice you make and the choice that's happening right now. And I guess I'll just say, I learned this in an ayahuasca journey.
Yeah, we talk about ayahuasca all the time on the show. It's
Yeah.
great. What did you learn on ayahuasca?
So I was doing NCSLA, and there was parts of me that was like, do I want to be here anymore? Is this what I want to be doing? And am I being creatively fulfilled? And I was like just pushing and pulling myself for years about that. And I was like, I'm going to ask on my first ayahuasca journey. I'm going to like ask, like, what should I do? You'll tell me the answer. And I'm like, I sort of know the answer. And it's probably, go towards creativity. Don't go towards the money. Like, that's what this drug is going to tell me. But I sit down and I do not get either of those answers. I do not get stay with the show, do not stay with the show, go with creativity, go with the money. I get this incredible visual of like me in a video game that goes on forever and ever and ever, right? And as I'm like, okay, this is sort of my life, right? But then I also get this clear download that there's also that happening one click over. And
also what happening?
Also me running down like a long corridor of like my life as a video game, one click over, and I'm doing something slightly different. I jumped and didn't get that coin, or didn't smash that baddie, or whatever it was in like Super Mario or something. And then like one click over, it's a slightly different game, and one click over, it's a slightly different. It's all happening simultaneously. I got like a complete download of the simultaneity of
like quantum reality.
Quantum reality.
That you make one choice and there's infinite other universes that are created, and that you could be running any number of video games simultaneously based on one decision.
Mm-hmm. And that none of them are bad and none of them are good. They're just the one that you happen to be on. It's the choice you made, and you're just going on it. And it was so clear, and it was so like such relief. I was like, oh, if I make one decision, something happens. And then if I make another decision, something else happens, but not bad or good. It's how I'm going to deal with the consequences and with the wonderful things that come along with that decision. And just there was just such clarity. And I think that's how I got from, this is a good transition, that's how I got from what my therapist used to call me Mr. Gallup.
Say more.
Because I was always taking polls. I was like, hey, what do you think I should do, Emily? Hey, do you think, okay, so I have this problem. Let me give you all the information, and then you'll tell me what you think that I should do.
With my life.
With my life. I would do this for years with so many friends.
Who should I date? What show should I do? Should I move to New York?
All of it. And I was just putting this, like, I trusted my friends so much to like, you must know more than I do. And I'm sure along the way they were mirroring back like, well, what do you want to do? Which is the scariest question to me ever. And I want to run away from. And we've talked about grips earlier, but I also talk about squirms. I have grips and squirms.
What's grip mean? What's squirm mean?
Gripping is like, try to control it. And squirming is like, I don't like this, so I'm going to change the subject.
Or get out of it.
Get out of this somehow, or slip away. Mm-hmm. So I talk about my grips and squirms. It's very helpful for me to be like, ooh, I'm squirming right now. Just sit here. Or I'm gripping right now. I don't need to control this much. Let me release a little bit. So grips and squirms. So I was like, what do I want, Emily? You know what I want more than I want. Well, I do. And after this ayahuasca journey, and after this clear thing of like, it just is what it is, I was like, I suddenly am not asking my friends anymore what they think I should do. I'm just asking myself what I should do and listening to that and then acting on that.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, there's my gut. everyone, what's your gut say? I'm like, I don't know.
Where's my gut?
I can't. Where's my gut? I can't hear it. It's not. Maybe you know where my gut is. Can you tell? No, you know, and that's what that's what grandmother ayahuasca was teaching me on my very first journey.
It's a big deal, Barrett.
It was
a big deal.
Huge.
Because so many of us don't know how to listen, or sometimes we know how to listen, but not all the time. And how do we tell the difference between fear and trauma and actual inspiration? And so it's not a simple thing for a lot of us.
Because there's armor and protection.
And trauma. And so like the fact that you really saw, and it feels very much like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like there's infinite timelines and we could jump them.
Yeah.
But this idea that none of them are bad and none of them are good. You know, the Shakespeare quote, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And it sounds very similar also to the airplane, right? Like you decided that you were going to enjoy the view and that you were not going to die today, so you might as well enjoy it, versus your friend was, I mean, bless that person, was like having a trauma response in fight or flight and having just a different reality. Maybe not good or bad. Maybe they needed to have that freak out because then they got to some lesson that they needed to learn.
Ooh, that's a good transition.
Yeah.
We were talking about gratitude.
Oh, the gratitude journal?
Yeah. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Because you were just saying maybe that girl needed that.
The girl was freaking out.
The girl who was freaking out on the plane. Maybe she needed to have that trauma response to be like, I don't need to have trauma responses anymore. Or that felt so uncomfortable. Why didn't I just enjoy it? Like everything's happening to everyone for a reason. And it's sometimes I know I do, like, or I used to, like, judge that person of like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And I'm like, maybe you need to do that right now so that you'll maybe learn that that's not the way. Or maybe I think I know something, but maybe what you need to do is healthy for you right now. I'm like, I had so many opinions about how people should live.
Yeah. I was just thinking that this morning where I was like thinking about how much headroom I have and like thinking about me just even a few years ago and how much I didn't know or understand or would judge women who were like really sexually liberated or like really in their power, and now like seeing how much more excited and accepting I am and like celebrating I am of that. And I felt myself start to judge past Emily a little bit of like, God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I was that. And I was like, no, like, let's just celebrate. Like, certainly there's a million ways where I have some glass ceiling on some part of me that I cannot see right now. And rather than even judging that, let's celebrate all of the headroom of how much growth there is to go. And can I enjoy that unfolding and that becoming versus like, oh, there's something wrong with me that I need to fix.
Right. Like, I don't have the kind of liberation that they have. And will I ever get there? You're like, well, let's talk about how we were raised or all the like Puritan veil that is over this country, like going back hundreds of years from the settlers who are like, don't be naked. Oh my, like all of these, and
you mean like two Native, like indigenous populations who were here and like cover up or something like?
No, sorry, I mean like British people coming over to like settle America and like just.
That's what I'm saying. Like people coming over and like seeing Native American people being naked and being like put on clothes.
Sure, okay. Or I just mean like proper British, like just the Puritan thing of like, no. Decorum at all times and cover your body, and sex is bad and only for this one purpose, and just all that like sort of down that cellular thing of like those systems that we have that we were born with. And I'm like,
well, we weren't born with them, but we were quickly conditioned by them.
Conditioned, yes, exactly. And once I just remember just being like, I can lift this Puritan veil and be like, oh, everyone's just having a good time. I don't need to be judging it and being like, oh, that's promiscuous, or that's bad, or you're having too much pleasure, or you're what? That's not how you do things. That's not like a monogamous thing to do. I thought you were with that person. I don't know. I'm thinking about gay spaces. I'm thinking about like, what am I thinking about?
Play spaces.
About play spaces.
That is actually something that I know we're going to get back to the 5-minute journal, but
Okay.
like since we're here,
Yes.
like you and I have had some outrageous, wild experiences in our lives. Like we are fortunate enough to be friends with some of the most audacious, outlandish, fun, ecstatic human beings on the planet that really take play very seriously.
Yeah.
And so we've had like some really unique life experiences, and it feels like such a gift to me. Like I've actually learned more about myself and spirituality and boundaries and consent and my desire and listening to myself and alchemy and respect in these sort of audacious, maybe even dare I say hedonistic environments than I have in almost anywhere else in my life. And I think that it's so easy to judge, say like a play party, which for people who don't know, like a play party is usually where people are in an erotic or ecstatic energy together. Or if you're perhaps doing like what I call pleasure prayer, or people using their sexual orgasmic energy to manifest, but doing that in a group, like it's so wild or audacious or far from our puritanical, monogamous, nuclear family, Southern Baptist, whatever you were raised,
right,
that it's easy to think, well, that's just a sin and that's just bad and you're just going to hell and that's just wrong.
They're like hedonistic people. That like those are wild pagan people.
Yeah. And yet, like when I have been in those spaces, it's been some of the closest to God I've ever felt.
Yes, because if you lift that veil, if you tap in and if you say yes and you stop with the like separation of you and something else, and you step into it, you're like, well, let me just try it. And once you do, I mean, you are tapping into God. You're tapping into the highest parts of yourself.
Yeah, it's like, at what point did we divorce ourselves from that flavor of divinity? Like, at what point did we forget that ecstasy could be a purifying force, or that pleasure is actually holy, and that nature gave us these internal gifts? Like, how do we let ourselves put that veil on? And who told us to put on that veil, and why?
And why? What purpose is it serving? I guess I know. I mean, you can plinko it down to like, well, babies and conservative. Like, there's control over women's bodies and what we need you to do and where your place is. And it's easier. I understand that life might be easier if you're just for some people. If you're just like, or it's just easier to think about if like. You're the man and you're making the money and getting the food, and then you're, cooking the food and
tending the home and
the babies and stuff. And you're like, great. Now we all know our roles. Can't we just keep that going? And you're like, okay, but is anyone having fun? And is anyone tapping into source? Because when we stop all that and we just really listen and tap in and experience ecstasy, good things happen.
Yeah.
Like, sort of simple,
like
but
you become like a magnet for things that you desire. Like you're tapping into both the generator of your dreams and the magnet for your dreams. And the work that I've been doing as of late, like I've been doing co-ed pleasure prayer. So like doing retreats with people of all genders and teaching them to use their pleasure to pray, to like use their pleasure as a manifesting tool. And my sex witch friends are like, this is very edgy, Emily. The fact that you have like all genders there, like, whoa.
Yeah.
And for me, it doesn't feel like Chicken Emily's not showing up, because it doesn't feel brave to me, because I so fully believe that the soul has no gender. And that as we get closer to the divine and as we usher ourselves into higher states of consciousness, we start to inhabit both the masculinity and femininity inside of us. And so it's like, and the retreats that I'm running, they're not like tantra retreats. People are not interacting physically with each other. It's really about you and your soul. It's about you and God. It's about you and your dream. And when we're in those sort of ecstatic spaces, it's quite low lighting. People are under blankets. So it really, to me, doesn't seem that relevant what anatomy you have. And I'm also aware that I'm not naive to the fact that we live in a patriarchal, misogynistic, predatory sexual climate. So it's like we have to address those things and alchemize those things so that people feel safe. All people feel safe.
That's so wonderful.
And it's been surprisingly easy and amazing.
Yeah.
Like there's been like zero pushback. And everyone is just like by day 2, they're in like full orgasmic states and crying tears of gratitude as if their dreams just came true. And it's like, wow. And these are people who are not like defense contractors and CIA agents and Navy people and a mother of 10, like people you wouldn't normally think would be doing this work. And I think that I feel excited about the potential of breaking down some of those old roles, like you were saying, of everyone just do the thing that you were told to do. And let's remember that we have these different polarities inside of us. And one of my dreams, and I know I'm sort of going on a tangent here, but one of my dreams is that as people start to tune into the energetics of their bodies and the energetics of pleasure, and they see that they can both be in the masculine and the feminine, to penetrate and to be penetrated in your heart, in your brain, in your hoo-ha. Like,
yeah, we're not just talking about butts and mouths,
right?
And vaginas.
Yeah, it's like there's like I could right now penetrate your heart.
Yeah.
You could penetrate me with your eyes. Like that, we really start to inhabit this. That my prayer is that some degree of misogyny and homophobia falls away. When like a straight cisgendered man recognizes the profundity of being penetrated, or that a straight cisgendered woman like discovers the like joy and power in penetrating something else. And then it's like, oh, when you realize you're everything, because God has no gender. God is omniscient and omnipresent and omnipotent. So it's inside of everything. And so it stands to reason that the closer you become to God, the more you would feel that everythingness inside of you. And that is really one of my prayers. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that you and I have had some really beautiful conversations about this,
like
this idea
switch
of,
energy.
Yeah, like switching from one polarity to the other.
I've never been so free as when in the past maybe 5 years, Emily brought me to Burning Man. Let's just start there.
Can we talk about that?
Also,
dueling you into Burning Man was one of the great joys of my life.
Thank you, doula Emily. Yes,
I mean, it just made so much sense. We got there and it's like, of course you live here, you're from here.
I didn't know that though. I was for years putting it off, and I was like, that's so scary, and I don't know what that is. But you asked me at the exact right time, and I was like, let me think about it. Yes. It was like such a hard no, and then you asked me just right at this like this blossoming time, and I was like, absolutely. So that was a start for me to one of the principles of Burning Man is radical self-expression, and I was like, if I wanted to express myself in some form of clothing, how would I do that or express myself through words? But I started getting like literally less homophobic for myself. Less in my inner homophobe started melting away at Burning Man. And
let's just underscore that for a minute, because like you identify as a gay man, and yet you had internal homophobia. I
up the wazoo.
Am a straight-ish woman with lots of bisexual, like I would say I'm on the spectrum between like straight and bisexual, because that means like bisexual. And I have internal misogyny and internal homophobia. And so it's just like, just because you are something doesn't mean you don't also have the conditioning.
And I didn't know that for a while. And then I realized that I was hiding myself and pushing myself down and pushing my creativity down and my expression down. And because I wanted people to think I was straight, or at least I could act straight on film, which I did for 12 years plus.
Yeah, that's not a small point. For 12 years, your persona that everyone saw you as was a straight man. That's not nothing.
Yeah. And on a very like alpha male sort of military show. So, but there was a lot of that like I was squishing down, and I think with Burning Man, and I think with this community, and with like this like penetration, like letting more sides in, letting more of the spectrum in, and like sort of being more feminine, I was like, oh, I've never been so powerful. I've never been so soft power.
Yes.
I mean, talk about soft power.
Yes.
Because what's not powerful is like going around like pretending to be straight or pretending to be like super masculine when you're sort of not, or when you're sort of like, I'm in between, or one day I want to be more of this and one day I want to be more of that. And 1 second I want to be more of this and 1 second I want to be more of that. So dom and sub and verse, but also switch. So there's like difference between.
What's verse?
So verse is like versatile. So like in the gay community, there's top, there's like, are you a top, are you a bottom, or are you verse? But I sort of like the idea of like, I'm switch. Like I'm not like.
I am this and I am that. And I can switch.
And I can switch within moments, seconds.
Yeah. And like, isn't that more exciting for everyone? Like, even if you have two people that are like straight up, like straight cisgendered, like, wouldn't it be exciting to have like other things available to you than just like, I put this thing in this hole and we do that
all
for
the
10
time.
minutes
This
and
is
then we
what we
fall
do.
asleep.
Yeah.
It's just like, why would we not want that?
Yeah. Let's switch it up.
Yeah.
And maybe I want like, I'm feeling a little soft and I need some softness and tenderness. And then because of that, I get online and now I can be hard and a little tough and a little dom. And then the dynamic switches and the other person like takes on the softness and then we, so it's like a wrestling dance.
Yeah.
It's like I'm imagining my older brother used to wrestle and you would just see they'd be switching like this, like, oh my God, wait, who's winning? I don't know who's winning now. And that's
But it's a beautiful dance.
But it's such a beautiful dance, and how exciting to do that with a partner in a sexual space, in a non-sexual space, in a podcast.
In a dance.
Oh my God, I love dancing. I love dancing with you.
I love dancing with you. It's one of the great joys of this life.
It really is. I mean, just the way I think we can push and pull and understand how space works. Mm-hmm. It's like I just really feel tapped into source when I'm dancing.
Me
and
too.
Dancing with you.
Yeah.
But dancing in general, oh my God.
Dancing in general, it's like God animates your body. And then when you have someone else who's also tapping into source, then the antenna gets bigger, the channel gets bigger. And so it's like it becomes a prayer and a celebration simultaneously.
I just got a glimpse of our prayer celebration in Tulum. I mean, there were, I think, 2 incredible dances that we had in this like sunken living room in Tulum. Oh my God. I just
the silhouette dance on the stairs and you on the wall. Wait, can we say that? Because, okay, so Layla and I have spoken many times about that Tulum trip.
Really?
Yeah. And like, I think it was a pivotal moment in my life. Like, I don't think people can understand. It's deep 2020. Like, the world is in deep lockdown. And I was like, I know what we need. A trip to Tulum.
I remember being on the plane to Mexico being like, what am I doing? This is a horrible mistake. We're all going to get COVID. What are we doing? But I was like one of 5 people that was like, okay, Emily, I'll meet you there. Right?
I think there was 7 of us. Yeah. And so Layla was there. It was the first time Layla had ever led co-ed sex magic. It was the first time, it was my second date with my boyfriend. I think it might have been your second date as well. Or you had just started dating. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and I just remember Layla said that line to me. She said, for tens of thousands of years, ecstasy was seen as a purifying force.
I remember.
And I can't not hear that. That sentence changed the course of my life.
Say it again.
For tens of thousands of years, ecstasy was seen as a purifying force.
Wait, what?
A purifying force.
Like, but I was told my puritanical
my veil of puritanical celibacy
says ecstasy is bad. It should be shameful. Let's hide that. That's for closed doors. Children shouldn't hear that when their parents are doing, like, just it's very, like, all of that squirreling away. Hiding. I mean, yeah.
Why?
Oh my God.
And again, why? Who said that and why? And I'm sure that we will like have Layla back on it and we can like do a full like history lesson of why and how ecstasy has been extracted from religion and doctrine and dogma. But if you look at most indigenous cultures, if you look at Incans, Mayans, Egyptians, if you look at even, there's whole temples in India, giant, like 10-story high sculptures of humans and animals in every single possible incarnation of intercourse that you could ever fathom.
Wow.
Multiple men, multiple women, sheep, goats, 5 people, 1 person, upside down, like a temple.
Whoa.
Pointing straight up to God.
Yeah.
And it's all people engaging in ecstatic acts.
Ecstasy, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, when did that go away? When did that become shameful? So it's exciting stuff to explore. And I think that is what Tantra is. It's knowing that God is everywhere, that God is in everything. And the reason why we associate Tantra with sex is because it's been so taboo for so long. So if you unlock the thing that is the most hidden, the most taboo, the most shamed, it's like you have the opportunity to unleash the most amount of God that you've divorced yourself from.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
The God lives in the most shame, in the
it's just like
locked away part.
The more we lock it away, when it unlocks, because God is everywhere, then you have the potential for the most reclamation.
I'm picturing Indiana Jones and the Ark, but like it's good. Like when the Ark opens, when the Ark like opens and it's all the scariness comes out, but it's like instead it's like it's been hiding away for so long and the Ark opens and you're like, oh, there's all the God. It's all the good stuff that like is released.
Oh, yes, I love that.
Ooh, that's cool.
Okay, so as we start to bring it home, I would like to just bring it back because I know I'm like making a little bit of fun, but I like truly admire like your discipline and your dedication to your practice and to meditation, and not only for yourself, but you've brought so many friends to me and so many mutual friends who've learned this practice, and I really see you supporting them and advocating for them and helping them if they fall off the wagon. So I'm curious to know, like, why do you think everyone isn't meditating? Like, why aren't people committing to this practice when it's so obvious to me and you that you're like, oh, if I do this thing, I'm a better performer. If I don't do it, I'm not as good at my life. So why do you think people aren't? Why isn't everyone meditating for better performance?
I think the tides are turning. Like when I open up like my Equinox app, there's always like some article about, meditation. I'm like, oh, good. It's getting into like the culture, because I think there's a culture of like, we finally gotten to like, get your body in order, like move your body, and that will keep you healthy. And now we have to be like, no, but your mind is finally part of the conversation now. Yeah. Mental health, and we have apps and things that I think people are signing up for it. But why isn't
like when you go home for Thanksgiving? Like, why isn't everyone meditating before Thanksgiving dinner?
I know. I mean, I guess right. I'm like. Are people going to the gym right before Thanksgiving dinner? Do you know what I mean? Like it's like you sort of want it to go. There's a lot of stress, so you want to just start it. But why not have a moment?
Like, why isn't your dad? Why isn't your brother? Why isn't like your NCIS LA fan base? Of however many followers you have on Instagram, like what percentage of them do you think are meditating? And like for me, it's like, I'm like, you guys, this is it. Like, why isn't everyone meditating? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have, some skin in that game. So you want people because, yes.
It's my business. Yes, I want to be wildly abundant. I'm a Ziva to be so successful. And if you learn from my friend Light, or if you learn from my friend Biet, great.
Yeah.
Net win for the species.
For the species, for the world. Yes, just meditate. I don't care who teaches you.
Yeah.
But why aren't you doing it? There's not enough time in the day. Is it just that? Is it?
Yeah, people think they don't have enough time. I think that's huge.
And let me tell you, so I thought that too. And then
you were getting up at 4 a.m. And
I'm like, I'll get up because it's worth it.
Yeah.
Why is it? Can I? This is maybe another question. I was on one of your like brush up
Ziva Lives,
and I was like, I can count how many men are on here, like with 2 hands. And there were 250 people on that call. And I was like, guys, what's going on? We're the ones that need it the most.
Mm-hmm. Suicide rates are higher. Stress is higher. Heart disease is higher in men.
What's up? Why? Why can't we tap into that?
Ooh, that's a good episode. Why aren't men meditating as much as women?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Okay,
You're
great.
welcome.
That'll be our next episode.
Yeah.
What else? What did I not ask you that you wish that I had asked?
I want to talk.
Oh, we got to go back to 5-minute journal.
I want to talk 5-minute journal.
We got to close that loop.
Sure. Okay, so in my breakup this week, I was reaching.
Thank you for being here on a breakup week. You're a star.
I'm gonna say I'm like just reaching for my phone and being like, oh, maybe this app will help distract me, or this app, or it was interesting how I started. Oh, food, maybe some food, like reaching for things to
numb the internal
to
pain.
numb, or to like this will help fill this hole. And it's also interesting how your heart actually hurts.
Yeah.
Like your actual...
It's the thymus gland. It shrinks.
Ow.
It's ouch.
Ouchie. So trying to like stick things in there to like shoring up the like bleeding almost. And I picked up my 5-minute journal, which you introduced me to many years ago. And I was thinking about I was like, what am I grateful for? And I was grateful. I was like, what am I? It's hard to be grateful right now because I'm not feeling like abundant. And I was like, I'm grateful for the doubt. I'm grateful for not knowing, for the space, for the feeling of maybe I haven't made the right decision. I think there was something that I liked. I was scared to write down about that because I was like, but this is what I shouldn't be. I should be celebrating the good things. And I'm like, no, even the bad things are good. Right?
Nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
Right. I'm like, it's just another click over on the Mario Brothers
on the
Nintendo.
infinite video game of life.
Yeah. And I'm like, I get to feel the doubt so that, thank you, doubt. Thank you so much for being here because I'm going to dance with you for a little bit. Thank you, doubt, because when I know something for sure, I'm going to know it because I know what doubt feels like. Yeah. So I'm sort of honing my own gut by leaning into the doubt and the I don't know-ness, but because that's good. That's part of my human experience so that I can know other things too. Yeah. The opposite things.
Thank you for the doubt so that I can really trust the clarity when it comes.
Yeah.
Adam calls that signal and noise. Just yesterday I interviewed a guy named Jerry Simpson about AI, and he was like, yeah, there's signal. You're just like tuned into the channel. It comes in really clear, and there's the noise. And so it sounds like you're like, thank you in the 5-minute journal. Thank you for the noise. Thank you for this moment of I'm not sure what I need or who I am or what I want. So that when I'm in that clear signal, you go hello everyone, this is Welcome to 98 News. You're like, oh, I found it.
Right.
I found the
clicked
signal.
over to the radio station that I want. Yeah. Oh, it's so clear.
And to your point on Aya, it's like 98.9 is not a better radio station than 101.3. It's just what song do I want to hear today?
And also, you know what's also good? The in between. The noise that's a song that you got to listen to a little bit sometimes. Yeah. You're like, oh, I don't like it. But thank you for it, because when it does click over, I know what that is. I know the difference.
That is really big, Barrett. I've never heard anyone speak about it that way, and it feels really important.
Yeah, don't ignore the noise. Noise is important too, because then you know signal.
Yeah, Adam's always like, thank you for the contrast. Thank you for the contrast.
My God, always. I've been thinking about this so much. On hikes, just anytime I see a beautiful sky, I'm like, that's gorgeous. But now that there's a tree in the middle of it and I can see it in contrast to the tree. I'm like, now the sky is even more beautiful. But it was beautiful before without the tree. But you just need difference.
It's the yin and the yang.
Yes.
You can't see the white without the black. You cannot see the black without the white. A whole white wall is nothingness. You put a black dot on it and suddenly you can see the white because of the black, and vice versa. I love you so much.
I love you so much.
You're so fun. Where should we send folks? I know that you're on the board of an amazing organization called Everyday Action.
Yes.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're taking food, like wasted food from film and TV sets, and donating it to homeless shelters and people who do not have food, which is a lot of people in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So thank you for that. Thank you for being on the board. I know you're on Instagram. Where do you want to send folks? Where can people find you?
You can find me at Barrett Foa on Instagram, at Barrett Foa, and you can find Everyday Action on Instagram, Everyday Action, or youreverydayaction.com.
Got it.
It's
and people
really
can donate,
nice
or
you can donate. You can be like, I'm going to send you some bars of soap for the kits so that our homeless kits can have, like, people can be clean.
Great.
I mean, you can do like little things, and then we have auctions, and we're just, actually, I think we have a Ziva meditation thing coming up.
Yeah.
That they're auctioning off. Thank you for that donation. We are doing such good work, and we're growing so much, and we're saving so much food, and landfills are not being.
Yeah. This feels like it.
It's
like,
just
rather than food going into landfills and making more gas, it's like increasing the rate of climate change, and people are going hungry, which is so asinine. You're like taking this delicious, fresh food and giving it to people who do not have the resources and saving the planet while we're there.
I don't know how it hasn't been.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Truly.
Yes.
It seems so
I'm
simple.
very proud of it.
So important.
Yeah, it really is.
All right. Well, I clearly have to have you on again because we have 85 more things to talk about, but I love you with my whole heart. And
I love you so much. Thank you.
I'm so grateful for our friendship.
Me too. This was such a pleasure. Thank you for having this podcast. Thank you for bringing me to Burning Man. Thank you for teaching me meditation. Thank you for singing Barrett Foa all those years ago. And thank you for still singing it today.
Do I have permission to sing it at your funeral is what I want to know.
Absolutely.
Great.
Please do.
Okay.
When am I going to sing at your funeral?
Ooh.
We'll talk
At the
about
ballet.
All 3 parts.
All 3 parts. You just loop it with a track. And then beatbox as well. Daddy never thought that he buried beneath him. That's what he said. That's what he said.
Gong.
When he proposed, he informed his mother he was probably her very last chance. And though she was 22, she married him. Life with my dad wasn't always a picnic, more like a come as you are. I would do that for the rest of the day. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining us on this amazing, fun episode of Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? If you are enjoying this, if you would like more behind the scenes, more deep dives, you can go to zivameditation.com/whythis for mini masterclasses from these amazing guests. So if you've enjoyed this, please do share it with your friends. You can follow us, you can rate us, and then tag me and Barrett. So at Ziva Meditation and at Barrett Foa when you share it on your Instagram stories. And I love you so, so much, and I'll see you next week.